Hello there, it's Lady Nadine again. Well, I'm delighted to see you, and I'm also very pleased to say I've managed to be here on time today. Oh, we had such a week last week. I didn't catch up with myself till at least Wednesday. But I'm pleased to say this week I'm running on time. Much better. We're all decked with our Christmas decorations and full of festive spirit and festive tea, I have to say. And that brings me to the delights I've got to eat for today. Now, Chef has made me some of his beautiful Christmas stollen. It's a particular favourite of mine, and I've paired it with our most popular of our teas, especially at this time of year, our Prince Albert. When I asked our tea company to come up with a tea for me at Christmas, I said a black tea, robust and lots of strength. You'll need that to get through Christmas. And then I said I wanted to have all the flavours of Christmas. Crackers, mince pies, mulled wine, the pine smells of Christmas trees. All the anticipation of the day in a cup. Well, as you can imagine, he was a little surprised at first, but when the samples came through, this was the one he recommended. We all tried and agreed, and everyone has loved it ever since. So for me today, it's Prince Albert with my stollen. But of course, to business. Last week, I was telling you about my trip to the Savoy, which was a wonderful time, and also, of course, about scones, or scones, depending upon your choice. Well, I left you, having told you the etiquette, with the idea of, is it a scone or is it a scone? Well, today I'm going to tell you. Now, nobody knows for certain. I know that sounds like a little bit of a cop-out, but it isn't. Much of history is passed down by word of mouth. It's only the big things, the battles, the monarchs, the great plagues or fires, castles and things like that that are deemed important get recorded. Everyday things don't. So you have to use a little interpretation. And it very much depends not just on where you come from in the country, for there are those who say it's definitely one way, and in the south, quite different. But it looks further back than that. Where did the idea of this scone as something to eat come from? Well, there are those who say it has its origins with the Middle Dutch, where they have a type of bread called the scone bread. So would come from the scone bread, scone. There are those who say it has a Scottish origin, and there we get our scone from. And of course, we all know about the famous town in Scotland with the scone stone. They have a lovely way of describing, or what we would call by any name, a scone. It's a rough, irregular shaped lump. Well, I think that's perhaps an injustice on the humble thing that has become quintessentially so a part of afternoon teas and cream teas. I dread to think what my guests would say, whatever name I called it by, if I stopped serving it. But for me, when I get asked by any of my guests, what should I call it? I always tell them this little rhyme. And it goes, I asked the maid in dulcet tone to order me a buttered scone. The silly girl has been and gone and ordered me a buttered scone. Well, I suppose as the bard would say, a rose by any other name, and in this case, by whatever name you call your scone or scone, I hope you enjoy it. Served properly, of course. But it brings me to another thing. The idiosyncrasies of our English language. It's evolved over countless hundreds of years and eventually has ended up as we know it today. But along the way, many words have got lost and many others have become part of our language. Now, a few years ago, one of our events, which is so popular, what we would call in Victorian times a soiree. It's an evening hosted by myself. We do all sorts of things. We have a theme to every one. So as well as having a delicious meal to enjoy and the good company and atmosphere, but also a little entertainment, as you might call it. Now, one of them we did looked at the wonders of our English language, going back to the early days, around us Victorians, where the modern language was really starting to form. And so, we're going to host another one in March, the details of which will be up on my website, auntmartha.co.uk. But let me just tantalise you with a few little ideas. Would I be inviting a tantling to our evening? Perhaps a fop doodle? Or even a salmagunta? Well, if those and many other words like those are of interest to you, then perhaps you can come along and join us. Oh, and of course, don't forget, in April, we've got National Tea Day at Chiswick House. I shall be there in my official role as ambassador. Such a delight for me. But this year, we've got a stand there, and I'm bringing my maitre d', Miss Hilary, with me to show you a little bit more of what is on offer here at Aunt Martha's and to sell some of our wares. So I do hope you'll come along and see us. Visit the National Tea Day website as well, and you can find out more there. Well, it's time for me to enjoy today something that I'm not going to argue over how you're going to pronounce it. It's Stollen, and my lovely Prince Albert tea. So, until next week, bye-bye for now.